Good afternoon. Good morning, wherever you are. I hope you are enjoying some sunlight like I am. If not, that you are soon. Oh, folks, it is the season of the beard and banties chewing on some ice. Ooh, that's cold. Feels so good today. Sitting outside and this Florida humidity. Have the house to myself and as promised. So originally, I was planning for the first home game to go live for a podcast at Everbank Stadium for the Jags because I've been trying to cover more local sports in Florida. I was sort of doing that when I was in Virginia for local sports there, and it got rained out that day. It, I mean, kind of cleared up, but not really during the game. Jacksonville ended up losing that one. So I figured what I would do is I would put together a promo of some people in the area reacting to week two, the loss to Cleveland, and also get some people to predict the game last night. And shout out to all the people who sticking with the Jags. Man, that's got to be tough to do at this point because that team just. What was that last night? What was that? And I wanted to do that pod I was talking about originally on site at the stadium, but believe me, there's something still in the works. Looks like it's going to be one of their first big AFC matchups I will be live at the stadium for, so stay tuned for that. But it's hard to go out and see this team after a game like last night because they had no chance. I mean, they were better sending in Jacksonville State to play that game because, I mean, you give up what? They gave up 34 in the first half and ended up losing by 37. I mean, to think, yeah, you're down by 31 in the first half, and then you end up going down by 37 points total. It's just from top to bottom, they have to start over. Press, I think, is going to be let go. I don't know about Doug Peterson's job security, but I mean, a couple more performances, even maybe even one more performance like that, he's gone, and that's saying something when you have a guy with the hardware being fired from. I mean, a team that had so much promise. I don't like to look into the preseason too much, but I liked what I saw against Kansas City in that game. They looked sharp on defense at least. And I thought, you know what? This might not be a Super Bowl ready team, but they are playoff bound. And it's like after last year, the way they ended the season, they just lost all hope, lost their confidence. I don't know. Jags fans, you got to let me know what you think because, yeah, once again, I have to get some reactions from people because now I feel like they're writing the season off. I mean, forget the Super Bowl because no chance at 0-3. If there's only been three teams that were 0-2 that won the Super Bowl, I believe three. You aren't going to see that happen again, I think, anytime soon as well. I also don't think 0-3 that they're going to. I don't think they're going to the playoffs the shape they're in, even. So, man, I mean, the passing game looked bad. The defense was just, I mean, the secondary was so lost out there. I mean, Josh was making these plays on third down that was just like, are you kidding me? Trevor was missing easy throws. There was the one diving catch around midfield which I believe is in the third quarter, where it was just like, all you got to do is you put it right in front of him, man, he's going to get more yards, and instead of getting tackled at the 47 and kill, that was their biggest play of the half right there. You could make an argument. I don't know. And I mean, to lose to a team like Buffalo when you're supposed to be a contender, it's demoralizing. I mean, it really is. And you could even hear the announcers were just like, everybody's beside themselves if you hear how much hype this team has gotten for the last couple of years, and the start they had with Trevor Lawrence getting to the playoffs, and now it's kind of the opposite of what it felt like was happening with the Chargers, the team they beat in the playoffs, because the Chargers have all the momentum now with Harbaugh, despite losing on Sunday to Pittsburgh, which are the Steelers the biggest surprise of the year? I think so. I mean, I never predicted Pittsburgh to not only win all these games, but look as good as they have doing it. But yeah, that's your local sports right there. Just, I don't know what to say. It was ugly, but yeah, and you also had Miami dominate South Florida. That was a good first half. South Florida definitely showed up. They just didn't stick around the whole game. But I have to give them credit. Tough quarterback, a dynamic quarterback, and it's it's tough to be in a state with Florida State and the Gators and all these teams, because South Florida doesn't get mentioned enough, in the way that they hung around with Alabama. I mean, they deserve credit. It's a tough team, and I feel like Miami just got a quality win over this team on the road. But how will they fare against their remaining schedule other than Louisville? If they get a win there, I start to really feel good about Miami's chances. But are they going to make a run at a championship? I don't know. I really hope so. Just as long as we beat Florida State every year, that's that is what it turned into for a little while there. Just as long as just as long as the Knowles go down. Man, Florida State, I mean, I was one of those people last year that said they got cheated out of what was rightfully theirs, that college football playoff appearance. Unbelievable. Now what, 1-3? I'm trying to go to I was going to go to that game originally, but I don't really have a desire to go to that anymore. I still might see Miami play Duke, but yeah, and you had a couple other big games for college and pro football. Of course, the big story right now in college football is Arch Manning and how good Texas has looked, but Texas has not really been tested yet, kind of similar to Miami. So we're going to see just how they do. I feel like if they can keep winning, I think Arch is ready for he's ready for Georgia. That's going to be the big test, right, for them at least. Even though Georgia, I got to admit to at the beginning of the year, I was thinking Georgia's probably going to beat Texas, but now I'm starting to not feel so confident. I mean, you have Kentucky lose 13-12 to them. There's no guarantees. And Georgia, I mean, Kirby's a smart coach, but how confident is this team? You're going to have to we're going to see how much experience and coaching they have down the line because it's no easy schedule. And I mean, same for Texas. There's no guarantee that they're going to beat Oklahoma. And they still have to play, Florida. Maybe Florida shows up in that game. I don't know. And they have to play Kentucky, who I was just praising. It's going to be very interesting to see. Also, USC losing to Michigan, kind of got kicked around that game. Apparently, I didn't get to watch the whole thing, but I saw the part that I liked, which was USC losing. I mean, Michigan has not had a hot start to the year, so that doesn't make USC look very good. But it's exciting to see my team, competing at a high level, and hopefully down the stretch. I mean, you have some toss-up games. It feels like Florida State. I mean, Virginia Tech. That's wild. The big story, I think, for college football right now is the debut of Arch in Austin. But as big a story as that was, an Arch we trust, cannot omit the performance that JMU had. They put it on UNC from the opening gun. I mean, 53 in the first half, 70 points. JMU has arrived, and they are continuing to make noise every year in one sport or the other. I mean, it's just cool to see. I was growing up with it always being about the Hokies. Everybody every year was like, oh, no, this is going to be UVA's year to beat the Hokies. Man, UVA long ago took a backseat to JMU. I don't care about, oh, they have this amount of championships. Yeah, well, JMU was so good, so dominant in the conference they played in that they moved him up to the ACC, my friends. And guess why? Because they're able to put 70 points on UNC. We had some other games. The ACC, UVA did get a win against Coastal, and Tech looked pretty good. It's going to be interesting to see how Miami does against Virginia Tech because, look, if they can get a blowout win against them, then I'm going to make if they win that game by more than 2 touchdowns, I will say this, that Miami is going to beat Louisville. I'm calling it right now. You heard that, yes. Turn it into a bite, whatever you want to do. I'm picking Miami to, you know what? I'm going to just pick it right now. I'm picking Miami to beat Louisville. It's going to be interesting to see how this year finishes out because it's no easy. Can adjust my legs. It's no easy road for any team. I mean, Texas, Georgia, they have their hardest months in October and still have difficult games. I mean, like I was just saying, Texas has to play Kansas or not Kansas, Kentucky in November, in addition to Florida. Those are no easy games. Other pro games, turning our attention now to the NFL. There was definitely some problems in that Dallas game, which I personally enjoyed. And I mean, Philly, that's the only game I got to watch this weekend because I went to Orlando and they were just getting mauled on defense. So you got to give it to Philly. They're a tough team to bounce back from a tough loss that can crush your spirits the way they lost to the Falcons. But Philly, they're hanging around. Now Dallas, I mean, just all the problems that they had in the offseason. They don't really have a superstar on that team. I mean, in Dak at this point, it is Super Bowl or bust. And where does he rank among Dallas QBs all time if he doesn't get the hardware? I mean, do you put him in front of Romo? I don't know. I mean, look at the respect that Danny White gets, and he lost 3 championship games. But Dallas, I mean, to lose to Baltimore like that, they showed heart at the end. I got to give them that. But there's some work to be done. However, they have no easy road. Dallas never has an easy schedule. But it's early in the year. I mean, I want to praise Jaden Daniels for his performance last night. 7 of 7 on that drive, not to mention converting the 4th down, getting those 3rd downs. Zach Ertz, he had a good night. McLaurin had a big night. They looked sharp, but does beating the Giants and the Bengals mean that you are a powerhouse and that you are pro ready? I don't know. He looks pro ready though. So far, it's going to be so fascinating to see. I mean, the NFC East is always such a competitive division. Even in the years when it was, the Skins and the Commanders were in transition. Oh wait, they have been in transition for 20 years. That's right. How could I forget? But it was always interesting. I mean, even back to when the Eagles had Jeff Garcia, and Eli Manning was just coming on the scene as a superstar quarterback. You never know in that division. There's always some team that shows up out of nowhere. I mean, yeah, the Giants 2007, nobody picked them to win the Super Bowl. One of the 0-2 teams that found their way to a championship. So anything can happen, but I don't know. Dallas has their work cut out for them. But if there's anything that you want me to talk about on these shows ever, guys, I am always game for it. I go live as much as I can with these shows and try and post them every week, if not every couple weeks. Football can never leave my DNA. Sports can never leave my DNA, but I'm a big fan of college. I got to say that in the pros. It's kind of hard not to pay attention to it. I'm a half hour pretty much from pro stadium, and I grew up not far from DC, so I always had sports right near me. Not to mention UVA being 15 minutes away as a kid, even though I'm still not a Cavaliers fan. I love doing these shows and talking with you and going back and watching them, seeing how accurate my predictions were. But I'm picking Miami. I'm sticking by that to we're making a title run. And if not them, it's going to be Texas. You heard it right here. But yes, if Miami scores 2 touchdowns or more against Virginia Tech, they're going to beat Louisville, and that means that this team is going to get a big bowl game. And even if they don't win a championship, that is a tremendous step for that program at Cristobal. So we're going to see where Miami ends up at the end of the year, where Texas ends up at the end of the year, Georgia. Anything can happen, guys. It's only week 4 in college, week 3 in the NFL. But that's just what I think. Everybody, love you, mean it. Get some sunshine, and I'll see you again soon.